Hello Taurus, and welcome to your July 2025 tarot card reading. Now I know these are super late just due to some health issues that I had throughout June. It really delayed me, but we're going to pull this into August a little bit just so we're not like losing time here. So we're going to really focus on the next 4 to 5 weeks. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look here, Taurus, at what you need to know for July and August as we move forward here. What is it that you need to know? We have the Six of Wands, Devil, Queen of Wands. Whoops, we got a couple that flipped over here. Temperance and the Empress. Okay, beautiful. So the Devil looking a little out of place, and I think creating some contradictions, which life is full of contradictions, so that's not really anything new necessarily. I mean, when I look at this Six of Wands, it really tells me that you're on a good track here. You're on a good track. You've probably had some victories lately. Things have maybe worked out okay for you, or at least you're on an upswing of some sort. It may not be perfect, and it may not be exactly what you want or everything you want and need, but I think you're on an upswing at least. Maybe some of you are doing great. I don't know, but to me, it's like you're on a good path. You know, you have reason to celebrate. You have reason to feel proud. And I think even people are kind of looking on into you and saying, wow, Taurus, you know, you're doing so great. You're so resilient. Look at how far you've come. Look how much you've done, right? All those kinds of things. And, you know, I think you're okay with receiving that kind of attention. I think you're okay with people perceiving you in a specific type of way. I don't know that you really care. But I also know that you know that there are things behind the scenes that not everyone is privy to, right? Not everyone knows what you're dealing with behind the curtain a little bit. Now, Uranus has just left Taurus, which was a big transit, one of the biggest of 2025. He'll come back into your sign later this year, but for now he's in Gemini. He's going to start to activate that second house. Many of you might be focused on your money right now, on your material well-being, especially with Pluto up in the 10th house. There's a lot of career activity going on. So you might just be kind of in this more material track right now and kind of letting things that need to be released, just letting them go. With the Devil card here, this is what I mean by there's a little contradiction and people don't know what's going on behind closed doors, because I think internally there are still some pretty big hang-ups for you. Maybe there, and I think this Mercury retrograde too, which is happening in Leo in your 4th house, I think that is helping you to really have awareness of what's going on below the surface. And maybe there's certain elements of fear, insecurity, pride, attachment. Maybe you're dealing with someone else, you know, maybe it's not really you. Maybe there's some other problematic individual in your life, or there's some kind of obstacle that you're hitting up against that has become kind of like a set of vice grips, you know, just kind of wrapped around you, and you just can't really quite seem to move. There does seem to be like a debilitating quality with the Devil. I don't think people see that. I think people see you as some great person, so resilient, so strong, so courageous, and all of that. But maybe, I'm not saying all of you are dealing with like imposter syndrome or anything like that, but I think maybe there is a little twist there, and it just kind of feels a little off for you. But I don't know that the Devil is really all that powerful. I think it's just there. I think it's something that you are aware of, you're working through it, you're contending with it. If it's habitual and it has to do with your habits, I think you're working on those habits. If it's some kind of emotional thing, I think you're working on that as well. And I just don't know that you're fully enjoying what people really think of you, you know, because you're like, yeah, but behind the curtain, we've got this Devil here, you know. And this might be, you know, the hypercritical Mars in Virgo right now, where you're just kind of looking more critically at yourself, maybe being a bit hard on yourself and things like that. But even so, I don't see that hindering your progress, because immediately we have this Queen of Wands, which I really do like for Taurus a lot. because she's tenacious. She tends to sink her teeth into things. She has a great deal of passion. She fully believes in what she's doing. Now, I'm not really seeing that Taurus is making some gigantic change in their life right now, at least not in the first set of cards. I think everything is pretty much on par, right? You're just going to keep doing what you're doing. You're not going through some massive life event. I mean, maybe some of you have that, but for the most part, everything is just normal. But you are ambitious, and there are things that you know you have to show up for. So in spite of this little devil on your shoulder here, in spite of that little voice that yip yaps all day long, and in spite of some of the trauma that you have, the attachments and this and this and this and this, I just don't think that you are going to sit there and let that stop you, and I think what you are is determined to prove to yourself that you're not that person. This seems to be more like a competition with yourself right now. And yes, people might be seeing you in a specific way, and they might, kind of project their image onto you. Because I do feel like there's an element of projection with that Six of Wands. I'm not quite sure why. Normally I get that with like the Nine of Swords. But this feels very projection-y. And people are projecting things onto you, but I just don't think it takes. I don't think you're absorbing it. I don't think that you're identifying with it. You're just letting people perceive whatever they want, and you're sticking to your own business here. And with the Temperance card, it feels very detached. And I think that is one good thing about Uranus coming into Gemini, is that it will be a little bit more detached, especially as this is in a trine with Pluto over in Aquarius, where this is an opportunity here for us to find release and to find freedom from things that have really bound us. And right now, it seems like you're allocating a lot of energy that could or maybe used to be spent on devil things and starting to find a more productive means, right? Like if in the past you spent a lot of time obsessing over things, now you're like, I don't have the energy for that. I'm going to take that energy that I would normally spend stewing, and I'm going to dedicate it to my work, and I'm going to focus on my money, and I'm going to focus on my career, and I'm going to focus on my relationship, and you're just going to work on the overall improvement of things in a nice, easy, manageable way. Again, I don't know that this has to be some big dramatic revolutionary thing that you're going through. It's just very simple redirection of focus, And I think that devil energy is going to slightly subside throughout the course of the next several weeks when you start to realize that it actually has no power at all. It never did. And for some reason, only now are you figuring that out. Now, you may have had multiple lessons with this, multiple lessons with how to move away from that and what it even is. And, you've probably done a lot of that work. But this is a time where you can really start to put that knowledge into good use and start to apply all of it, because the goal for Taurus, right, the motto we always say is I have, right? It's real actual manifestation for Taurus, as we see here with the Empress, which is a Taurus Venus card, right? So she is only concerned about bringing the metaphysical into the physical, bringing the ideas into reality. That is her job. That is what she does. And that's where the energy, that's where the focus is. It's not here. Okay, it's really not. Unless this is manifesting as more of an ambitious quality, this is Capricorn energy. If it is more achievement oriented, then I'll connect that a little bit more with with the Queen of Wands. But for the most part, I think this is some kind of difficulty or obstacle that you have hit up against in the past that seems to be rearing its ugly head again, only to be immediately ignored and slain. And ignored not in a repressing or I'm going to push it down and pretend like it's not there and only for it to come out later. It's more just like you just aren't scared of it anymore. So the power is completely dwindled from this. This feels very weak to me. I don't know why. The devil just feels like not a big deal. This feels like a much bigger deal with the Empress, because this is about the fruits of your labor. It's about the harvest. It's about the having and really starting to see things come to fruition. Okay? So let's see what else comes through as we move into August, late July, early August here. Yeah, so the Four of Cups I like because it kind of gives me a more inaccessible vibe where you're not going to be just open and available to anyone. You're going to be extremely selective with the offers that you take. And you'll probably get offers because when you're up on this horse here, people see you, they project onto you, they see what you're doing, they want to be a part of this, which puts you in a position of power, right? Which means you get to be the one that gets to select which options make sense. And there are going to be lots of offers that are not going to resonate with you. You don't have to just take whatever. You have to be very careful with this devil. I'm just saying it doesn't have any power, and I'm like, oh, be careful. But this is the part of you, I think, that wants to go backwards. This is the part of you that wants to be desperate or to be grasping, and so it doesn't want to just be desperately grasping at just any cup, right? We want you to be selective, discriminating, and choosy, because that's what an empress would be. An emperor. And when I say these words, I don't mean in like a entitled or spoiled way. We don't want y'all to be brats or anything. It's boundaries, and it's potency, and it's your own empowerment that we need to be aware of. And being choosy and discriminating about the offers that come in, this is what puts you in that position. And that's also what makes you more valuable, right? We don't want you just self-sacrificing your way to the end, because it's draining and it's exhausting, and we have to protect that. But I look at this Seven of Cups, and I think there's going to be this concern that Taurus has that's like, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing it right? Am I doing it well enough? Am I making the right choices? But you're looking at your options and maybe nothing is really standing out, and you're like, well, maybe I should just take one because I should be doing something. I don't know that you should be doing just anything. Like, if there is something that comes to you and you are 1,000% excited about it, then by all means jump right in. But if you are lukewarm 50% on it, it's not for you. And there might be multiple things like that. Multiple projects that present themselves. And this is the thing with Taurus, this is the thing with Venus energy, is it has to be passionate about it. Because if it's not, it just is so hard to fake interest. It is so hard to go be successful at something if you genuinely do not care. And I think these are things that you just don't care about. And maybe you think that, oh, they may sound good. Maybe they sound like very sexy offers. Maybe they are things you should be doing or you think you should. But if your heart is not jumping up and down, it is 100% no. And I think there's going to be a lot of that stuff, which means you might be in a little bit of a pause for a moment as we hit end of July, beginning of August, which would make sense with the Mercury retrograde, would make sense with Mars coming conjunct the South Node. And even the Sun coming into Leo, which is the fourth house activity for you, it's a little bit more pulled in, it's more private, it's more reserved. So maybe this is not the right time for Taurus to go big or go home, right? This is a time for you to be careful and selective, and to really honor what it is that you're driven to do, what it is that you're driven to create. Because if these show up and they just don't seem to resonate, then it's going to be hard to make those things successful, and we don't need to waste resources on them, okay? And with the Sun, we have a moment of brilliance. See, it's amazing how it comes right after this. It's like when you start saying no to things, you start to realize how quickly you start to shine through. And actually, this is kind of funny that I'm saying this, because you're Taurus, which is really all about bringing life into things. But opposite of you is Scorpio, which is about death. But the way Scorpio works with death is actually more so through elimination. So let's say you have 10 things on the table. Well, you know for a fact that of these 10 things, there's maybe 2 things that make sense, 2 things you want, and the rest are just extraneous. They're obligatory. They're things you signed up for 6 years ago and now you don't want them anymore, whatever. So in Scorpio, we have to cut out the remaining 8 things or whatever and clear the path for those 2 things so those 2 things can really shine and blossom, right? It's like cutting back the branches that are too heavy so that the sunlight gets through to the rest of the tree so you can have a flourishing tree. You have to kill things off in order for certain things to flourish. And it's a very brutal thing, but this is, I think, the shadow of Taurus. But that is the only way right now for you to really shine through. You have to cut these things out. And this is what is going on here. Even though there might be some doubt with it, and of course it does seem to be associated with the devil here, so it does seem to be a difficult thing because there's attachment there or there's some kind of belief around it. But all that being said, there is still a moment of brilliance and illumination that happens for you. Because now look what happens. Now you start to receive the work. You start to receive the contacts. You start to receive the connections. And you start building and you start... This is the way Taurus, I think, really, really thrives, which is you wait for the open door. And when that door is open, that's when you really start to plow forward. But I think this row up here is more about the energy shift that has to precede the actual manifestation of these opportunities and of this path. But it does seem to be showing up for you, but only after you are willing to reject and turn your back on things that are only 50% there. This is probably something that you're going to be 1,000% yes about. And the fact that it's directly underneath the Empress tells me that this is something that you can take and go far with. And I think with Taurus, we don't really like to look at short-term things. We like to look at that long-term plan and understand that this is a step 1 and understand that this is the beginning of something very powerful that is ultimately going to turn into a dream come true. But it has to be nurtured. And I love the nurturing energy of Taurus. It has to be nurtured, has to be cared for, has to be respected. And you have to respect the Ace of Coins, right? You have to respect the contacts. You have to respect the collaborations and respect other people, because these are the channels through which you are enabled to really shine bright. Okay, and I think with these cups here, I just don't really like them all that much because they don't really give you that opportunity to shine. And that's the thing that kind of clinches it for me, is that those cups are not for you. You're not in the cup business right now. You are in the coin, the manifestation, the actualization realm. Okay? So let's finish this off with a couple of oracle cards. So what is it that Taurus needs to know here? Finalizing this with the animal spirit, we have be peace. Yeah, this does feel like more of an energy thing up here, especially with that temperance card. Even the Empress is really peaceful. It is about your energy first. And we know that from a law of attraction standpoint, that that's one of the most important components, right, is our energy. It's the vibration of the emotion that we hold. So that's why the devil, it's like, it's there, and yes, there's fear and all that stuff, but if you don't entertain it, it's not going to affect your frequency. It's not going to affect what it is that you've got going on. It's not going to affect your ambition. Okay? So the thing is, we just don't want the devil to affect us. It can be there, but it doesn't have to affect us. And then we have a win-win outcome is forecast. This is not just about your success, Taurus, right? Because we're seeing other people here in the Three of Coins, and it tells me that there are other people involved here, and your ability to focus on where you shine and to focus on the areas where you can thrive is not only going to help you, but it is going to help other people as well. And this is, to me, this gives me very cup runneth over energies, where when you fill your own cup, you can then provide and be of higher degrees of service to other people. Okay? So let's pull out the clarifiers here. So if you want to join me for a deeper reading, I'll put the link for the comprehensive reading in the description box and the pinned comment thread down below, so feel free to check that out. But I'm going to pull out like 30 more cards, 3 cards per card here, and we're going to go very deep into this story. So again, if you want to join, all the info is down below. So let's see what comes through for you, Taurus, with the 6 of Wands. What is it that you need to know here? The Hanged Man, another Temperance card, and a Fool card. Beautiful. For the Devil, 10 of Wands, 6 of Cups, and the Lovers. We have the 2 of Coins there, King of Swords, Knight of Coins, King of Cups, 6 of Coins, excuse me, Knight of Swords. We have the 8 of Coins, 3 of Cups, and 8 of Wands. For the 4 of Cups, another 4 of Swords, another 7 of Cups. I knew those twos were connected. Ace of Cups, beautiful. That's the ace, the aces that you're waiting for. High Priestess, Judgment, 5 of Wands, 6 of Swords, 2 of Wands, 8 of Cups. I feel like you're going to get sick of the offers that have been made, and you are going to just leave. Just like, be like, I'm out. This isn't it. I'm done. Queen of Cups. Then we have the Ace of Cups, the 9 of Cups, and the beautiful Chariot to top it off. So this is where we're going to pick up in the comprehensive. So if you want to join, all the info is down below. Thank you so much. You guys know I love and adore you. Have a great month, and I'll talk to you soon.